And you're located where?
I'm in near the Fort Lauderdale area in South Florida.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Yeah. My parents are there in a mausoleum.
Nice.
I have to go visit. There's a bench for me to sit on,
Where are
but
they?
have to
In
go.
South Florida?
Beth David, I think it is. They passed away. They lived in over at the
Oh,
Diplomat Residences.
oh, that's
We're
wow. I
live.
knew that. Yay!
So I am excited. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I know I always say that I'm excited, but I don't know how to preference. I'm super duper excited. So, welcome everyone. I'm Adrienne Barker. Today is St. Patrick's Day, and I have Trish Carr, Women's Prosperity Network. Trish Carr, I can't wait for her to explain to you exactly what she has. I joined, but when you listen to Trish's story, I just want everyone to understand that Trish had this 13 years ago, before Facebook groups, really before where we are now with like these groups. So I love that Trish had thought of this and then it's going so strong. She'll share how many members. So I'm going to be quiet, but I'm also jealous of Trish because she just told me she's got 2 corned beefs, one in the oven and one in the crock pot, and I have 0. That's it, 0. We had a shake for breakfast. So, hi Trish, it's so great to see you. Tell us about Women's Prosperity
Hi,
Network.
it's St. Patrick's Day, so it's a big deal in my house because my full name is Patricia, and I grew up in a Catholic world, and in Catholic school, you had a patron saint that was over your shoulder, and mine was St. Patrick. So this is my day. And actually, if whenever you look at the "Kiss Me, I'm Irish," the Irish, the I always looks like a T. So I wear a pin that says "Kiss Me, I'm Trish." So St. Patrick's Day is a big holiday in my household.
I love it.
But
I
I
love
digress.
it. That is awesome.
It is great. I digress, though. I can't take all the credit for Women's Prosperity Network. It was created in 2008 with me and my 2 sisters, my real blood sisters. Yes. So my sister Susan Winter and my sister Nancy Matthews. And it was actually Nancy who had the brainchild. We each had our own reasons for creating Women's Prosperity Network. For me, it was a couple things. For me, it was the legitimacy of women in the workforce that I really am on a mission to make sure that women are seen as the powerful contributors that we are in corporations, in businesses, as well as legitimate business owners. You know, women account for over $1.5 trillion in the US economy, right? That's a lot of money every single year. And when we started Women's Prosperity Network in 2008, you may remember that we were in a recession, the recession. And I know we're dealing with the same types of things now. Back then, what was happening was I saw so many women who were leaving the workforce because they got laid off, again, similar to what's happening now, and couldn't find jobs because there weren't any to have. Yet they were talented. These were women who had natural gifts and natural talents and skills that they had learned. I learned my skills coming up through corporate America, no question. Like the 15 years I spent in corporate America helped me to be who I am. So I was really on a mission back then to support women in getting into their own businesses, to learning how to take those skills and make money with it. And that was really important to me. And the other thing was, I wanted them to have success on their own terms. Like, you don't have to act like a man to be successful. And many women at that time were feeling that way, like they had to be more aggressive. Yet, for many of us, it's not our natural way of being, right? To be aggressive and pushy and all those things you hear about sales in particular, because sales is my background. So I wanted to shift that and really create an environment of collaboration. And sales is about serving, and it's about who you're making a difference for as opposed to worrying about your own pocketbook all the time. So it's multi tentacled, if you will.
So what was the conversation like? So at that time in 2008, are you all three of the sisters working?
Yes, we're all working. In fact, we started WPN in 2008, and it probably wasn't until 2011 that we all started to do it, moving into a full time, 11, 12. So probably 3, 4 years before it became what I think of as a real company. You know,
It
we had a
is.
lot going on, but we were doing it part time. So we started, and the thing that made us different at the time, and everybody's doing it now, was we did masterminds. We brought women together to share best practices, to open their hearts and minds. And it wasn't even about like minded women, it was about like spirited women. Women who focus on the positive rather than the negative, who look for the solution instead of the problem. And there's a lot of us. And the other thing is, there's this big misconception that women are competitive and don't support each other. I mean, when you turn on TV, you'll see backbiting women and all of that, but that's not who we are. We as women are collaborative. We are naturally nurturers and people who want to work together. And lucky for us, in the last 10 years in particular, maybe even 15 now, the face of business has changed. It used to be dog eat dog and demolish your competition, but now it's collaborative. Now the companies that are working together are making bigger strides, and that's what we're all about. It's even happening in pharmaceuticals now. Did you see that? There's
Yeah.
you can't get the vaccine created fast enough at Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson and Johnson. So other pharmaceutical companies, I think it's AstraZeneca, is actually manufacturing another company's product.
I
So
love that. The partnership.
me too. So
That
it's
is so
really
important.
changed.
It really
Yeah.
has changed. So I want to go back to so 2008. You have the idea. You knew what you needed. You knew what was missing, and you saw the problem, and you created a solution for it. You knew who your target was going to be, was women,
Right.
and at that point, there was still in 2008 a lot of, well, what we call now network marketing. You know,
Yes.
the Mary case, but also
Yes.
looking. So how did you say to yourself, we're going to be on Facebook, we're going to have a location, we're going to be worldwide? I'm just curious, like, where you're, and then I'd love to know where you changed. So maybe some things that you scrapped, that you said, this may be too much for us, because where you are now is so impressive.
Well, thank you. I'll tell you that we started in our own backyard. And that's my advice for any entrepreneur, any small business owner. Before you try to conquer another area, you want to be in your own area first. And we learned this lesson the hard way because prior to starting Women's Prosperity Network a couple of years before, Nancy, my sister, had hooked up with 3 other women who wanted to start a seminar company, an education for women company. So it was on the same neighborhood because that's what we do. We offer online and again, we'll sometime offer in person connections, training, masterminding. So she had hooked up with a company, or they created a company. And they said, well, let's have our first big event in Los Angeles at the convention center. And they had these grand ideas, but nobody lived in Los Angeles. So, marketing in an area that we didn't know, we ended up
Sorry,
losing,
that's funny.
no kidding, tens of thousands of dollars that we put into this initiative, and yet it didn't work. We walked, that day we expected to have 300 people, and we had like 60 if you count the helpers. So it was that was a mistake. So starting in your own area, number one, and that's what we did. We started in our own area with the idea of being able to create mastermind curriculum, if you will. Like here's the topic. Every month we have a different topic, and it's driven by business. So number one, it's growing yourself, right? Your own personal development, growing your wealth, understanding how money works, expanding the way you look at money, how to use money, and then the last is growing your business. So it's always around one of those 3 topics. And we envisioned having these curriculums that we could just give to leaders in different areas, and they could run a mastermind on their own with that topic. But we never saw it up until probably 3 years in. We started to see that women are the same everywhere. And if it works here in South Florida, it works in Atlanta, it works in New York, it works in California, it works in London, in Paris. So that's when we started to expand beyond just the East Coast. We were in the East Coast mostly. And actually, we built a robust online community because we found that we could host things online. So we've been doing it for a long time. And now everybody else is getting on board. So as I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, getting together in person is great, but this is so easy for everybody. So we'll probably go back to we have an annual event where the whole community comes together so that we can touch each other, hug each other, be with each other, hang out, have drinks together, be in our rooms together and pajama parties. But this is so convenient because I don't have to get in my car. You and I are together. You're in Daytona, right? You're in Daytona? And I'm down here in South Florida. I would have had to take a 3-hour ride to get to you. So this is the way to do business now. So number one, start in your own backyard, and then you could have a grand vision, and that's great, but start where you are, and then get good in that one place before you expand to the next, because you only have so much bandwidth, especially if you're doing it on your own, right?
Yeah, no, your advice is perfect.
Yeah.
So
that's the key.
Can we talk stats today? So I just want to say the date again. So March 17th, 2021, Trish, blow us away with your stats. Members, actual staff that you have working, how many countries? I'd love to hear this.
I'll tell you, we are in, let's see, we're almost in every continent. We do not have members yet in Antarctica. And Asia. We still haven't really moved into Asia yet, but we're in Europe, Africa, Australia, North America, South America. So all of those, we have members all over the world now. And I'll tell you that we serve a community of about 15,000, and our membership is our actual members is around 5,000. But we have so many people who are in and out. It's interesting because we'll see. Last night, we do a networking every month on the third Tuesday of every month. We do a networking on Zoom, and we do it twice. We do it at noon Eastern time and 7 p.m. Eastern time. And it gets about 50 to 60 people live. And what we do is we go into small groups 3 different times. So you meet about 15 new people. And every time there's people from different places. Last night we had our first person from Norway. I had never had somebody from Norway. We had several people from different parts of Australia, people from around the U.S. We have some members from all over the world. I would say that the vast majority are in the U.S. because that's where we started. But we are quickly expanding. And it's I love that we have so many different types of people. And let me say that one of the best parts about it is we truly do see that we all are the same. We're all the same. We all want the same things, right? We want to be heard. We want to be cared about. We want to be respected. We want, and the other thing about women's prosperity is we're a sisterhood, a movement, if you will, of women who come together in collaboration so that we can be the best that we can be, so that with our products, our services, and our projects, we make a massive positive difference in the world. Because when you go arm in arm with other people, you become a movement as opposed to just one person. And together we are doing the things we want to do in the world and making the positive difference we all want to make. Right? That's what you want.
Absolutely. So Trish, full disclosure, I am a member and I joined because I understood the value. I have attended a few of your networking, absolutely love it, and want to actually say thank you for sending an email afterwards of everyone that's on the call. I don't know why more groups don't do that, but it's brilliant, it's clean, and I love that you do that. I think that's really helpful. And I have connected with some amazing women, actually trying to still commit a few for workshops with SCORE. So I love it. And I don't want to bring up your own pricing, but your pricing is really fair. So to be able to be part of something like this, and if I had, and I don't like the term busy because I do believe, Trish, that a mother at home with her child is just as busy. The term busy is a relevant word. It doesn't really mean anything. But I love the fact that in a point of downtime, or if I need to really look at something, I could go on the site that I can immediately. There's always an event, so I just love it. I like having it in my back pocket. Like it's fantastic. And then I see that that someone that you're on Clubhouse, which is exciting, and another door opening. So that's fantastic. But would you mind talking? I don't know if you want to talk pricing, but would you mind talk about your marketing, your membership structure? Because I don't want someone to hear this and be like, it's probably $4.50 a month and I can't afford it. No, it is the cost of like 10 pens.
Yeah,
so I don't want to talk
our pricing starts as low as $9, and depending on what level of membership you have, it goes up. Uh, because we also offer mentoring and coaching programs as well. So obviously, right now we have enrollment in our Momentum Mastermind, which is an amazing mastermind. It's every week we get together to work on our business for an hour and a half, and you get individual coaching, like, oh, I'm working on my webpage. Can you take a look at it and give me some suggestions? Or here's a new offering I'm thinking of doing. Let's poke holes in it. Whatever it is you're working on, and that's only $199 a month, and that is exponential growth in your business. Exponential growth in your business. But our most popular membership level is our gold membership level, and that's $34 a month or $350 a year, where you can save some money. And that includes 2 monthly group coachings. So you're always able to bounce your ideas off someone else. And when you work on your own, that is so important. It includes 2 networkings, like I was talking about earlier, and it includes a monthly mastermind on a topic. So this month, the topic is actually based on my book, which is it's just a conversation, what to say and how to say it in business. And
I
this
can.
month it's about messaging and making sure that when people say to you, what do you do? You're actually engaging with them so that they want to know more, as opposed to blah, 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 which is what often happens. So, and I'm
Trish,
so happy,
congratulations on
Adrienne.
your book.
Thank you
Can we
very much.
wait? This is so huge. Well, after you're done, I want to go back to your book because I want to hear the title a little slower. Okay, so finish what you're saying, but let's not skip over your book so fast because this
Okay,
is
so what I was saying, I'm so glad that you said that there's always something you can plug into. That was always our original intention. Because back then, I would go to an event. I would go to a group for a success conference, and let's just call it that, right? And I would leave inspired and motivated, and then I'd go back to work, and life would get in the way. The next thing you know, I'm spinning my wheels again until the next event. So we want it to be a continuing community of support. So every Wednesday morning, we do an old school teleclass. You can get on the phone or do it voice over IP, and we have a conversation. Today was about wealth and the mindset it takes to have money be your friend. So that was really fun. So every Wednesday morning we do that. Every Wednesday afternoon now at noon we have a continuation of that on Clubhouse. Nancy actually is on Clubhouse right now. So
I have
every
to.
Wednesday, and that's accessible. That's free. You don't even have to be a member to come to those. And then we have our ongoing coaching during the month, our networking during the month, the masterminding, as well as a really robust Facebook group and member directory. Our members tell us that they become friends. And our members, we have long-term members, 10 years, 12 years, always coming back, always plugging in, because it's more than just learning how to sell and learning how to ask for the money and learning how to have good marketing. It's also about being your authentic self.
Mm.
It's about making connections with people on a heart level so that you care about each other and you want to support each other. Every woman there is really dedicated to having the success she wants. She's just as dedicated to the woman who's sitting right next to her, having that same success. So it's an extraordinary community, and I can't take a lot of credit. I opened the door, and amazing women like yourself show up, and that's what makes it what it is.
That is the experience I have had, by the way, is it's a very impressive group of women who really are wanting to give. So let's go back to the most exciting part of everything. You wrote a book. Is this your first book?
No. I'm a six-time best-selling author. This one I wrote about 5 years ago, and this is too. This is a number one bestseller. My favorite thing to say about it's called "It's Just a Conversation." It's just a conversation. What to say and how to say it in business. And my partner Debbie Silverman and I wrote this because we would go to networking events and you ran into two different kinds of people. One would be the person who didn't know what to say when you asked the question, "What do you do?" And they would just hand you their card. Has that ever happened to you? You go into a network, "Hey, I'm Trish Carr. Nice to meet you. Who are you? Here's my card." "I don't want your card. I want to talk to you," right? So they didn't know what to say. The other one was thought so much about it that they were nervous when they were saying it, right? Did I get it right? Is it perfect? So we just wanted to take all of the conversations that we have, negotiation conversations, sales conversations, those hard conversations like "you owe me money and I want it," right? Asking for money when you're not really, raising your prices and being uncomfortable. So it's taking all the sting out of it, and it is just a conversation, and that's the whole feel of the book. And that's really the feel of Women's Prosperity Network. It's all just conversation. And when you can be your authentic self and have the right words and the right way to phrase things, because, tact is something that's learned. How to be influential in communication is something that's learned. But I can tell you that Warren Buffett, who you may have heard of, he just hit the 100 billion net worth mark last week. He says that the number one way to increase your net worth by 50% or more is to get really good at influential communication. And that's what the book is about, is being influential, not manipulative. Let's be clear. Influential in your conversation. So you can get the book on Amazon. It's just a conversation. Thank you.
I'm so excited. I love it. No, I love that you wrote a book. I love the book title, and we really are seeing it. It's interesting because usually, if you own your own business, you own your own vision and your own personal statement. You've got that. I see it's very, very hard for someone who's working for a company, and the company needs to remember that they really. I can just tell that some people, some women and men just need a little more help in redefining. You see it at like BNI meetings where they're standing up and they're, using a card. And I always think, oh, if there was only someone that would work with them and just go back and forth and give them that ability to really understand, that would make a huge difference. Yeah, see, I can't stand my bangs. Sorry, bang issue.
Your bangs look great. Your
keep my head up.
Look great.
But I think
that's the thing that jazzes me up the most. And one of my favorite things to teach is speaking. And now with everything being on social media and quick videos, and people have got to learn how to best use the mediums that we have available to us. So I love teaching people how to speak, whether it's one-on-one, to a group, or even in writing, because the same skill is the same skill. So I love it. I do that workshop a couple of times a year, and then I work individually with people as well. And then the other one is sales. How to ask for the money, how to feel good about it, how not to question your own worth. And that's a workshop we're doing next month. And you can find all of this at womensprosperinetwork.com.
I love what you're doing. So a couple of things I just want to say. One is I'm jealous. I'm going to say right now, if you are a woman in business this day and age, you're so, and I'm lucky too, but I'm a little older to have the ability to have access to coaches. So coaches didn't exist when I grew up, and I grew up in a family business. I didn't get that luxury of having coaches. And I remember when I started joining boards, there was never really a discussion like, okay, Adrian, we're going to give you a mentor. I would just like slide up to someone and say, do you mind if I just like literally sit almost on your lap? Like I would sit right next to them so that I could write little notes if I had questions during a board meeting. So I was making a mentor without even understanding what I was doing. But the fact, like when you were talking about the coaching, that is a big deal. And that price is really, really fair to have access to someone that is not your girlfriend, so not a family member, that either are saying all the right things, but still not really knowing what they're saying, or mostly all the wrong things. If that is a fantastic price, and I'm not here to sell Women's Prosperity Network, but I want to say if you don't have a coach, the problem is right now, Trish, there's so many coaches out there and so many people that claim that what they do, and then you see that that's not really the case. And so there are some groups out there, I just want to bring this up, like Women's Helping Women Entrepreneur. There's different groups on Facebook, and what I see is really interesting is when you, I don't want to, oh my God, I know I'm just saying these words. I feel, a lot of times when I go on those sites or they appear on my posts, they're almost a waste of time because nobody's behind the scenes really making sure the agenda that the person that started that group, I don't know what it is. Some of them are, to get paid, but they're not really handling it correctly. So if you want to be part of a group, and also an online group, it really is important to look at Women's Prosperity Network or another group where it's all being handled correctly, and women are raising each other up and offering the correct advice, because there's a lot of advice that's going around that is really not correct. And so I think that there's so much more. It is true. And now we're seeing this on Clubhouse. So just to take a few minutes with Clubhouse and talk about it, I am a part of some different women's organizations, and I have my own club, Business Essential Skills and SCORE. I opened up a club for SCORE. SCORE is very interested in Clubhouse and very interested in how I'm managing Clubhouse, and I think I have gotten like 10 new SCORE clients, and four, and actually they're women that have signed up to be mentors of SCORE. So I love that because it's great to have that in your belt. But I've noticed that, like, first of all, women actually going onto Clubhouse, and this could be a good one for you, how to actually say your 60 seconds, stay on topic, and then say, I'm Adrian Barker and I'm complete, which is kind of fun to say. But a lot of people don't. They keep continuing. How do you address that? Or do you feel that would be something that maybe you could teach how to really deliver that 60-second message, or contribute to a conversation, but not continue talking like I'm actually doing right now?
Yes, actually. I love it when I can equip people with tools. And one of the things I love is that I like formulas that work every single time. So I actually have a formula, and I have a formula for your 60-second commercial. I have a formula for giving a quick tip on social media on video. I have a formula on how you tell a story so that it makes sense and you don't go on and on and on. And there's a 12-step program for that called On and On and On, right?
Is there?
Yeah, so I have formulas for all of those things, and that is absolutely one of the things I teach. And those people who are in our Momentum Mastermind, in our mentoring programs, they get regular touches of that, The other thing is practice, because you can practice all day long, but it's not practice that makes perfect, it's imperfect practice that makes perfect. So if you're doing it
Whoa.
wrong, right? My husband was trying to learn how to. So my husband is a diver, and he's a certified diving instructor, and he never learned how to swim the right way. So he wanted to teach himself to, the way you breathe, and Michael Phelps and all that stuff. And he found himself reading the book or watching the video, going into the pool, and he would be doing it right for the first couple of laps. But before you know it, he was falling into his old habits. And that's what happens for all of us. And that's where someone, a coach, a consultant, makes a difference, because they're looking over your shoulder and say, ooh, 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 let's not slip back into that bad habit again. Let's get back to where we want to go. And you hear about, there are a lot of coaches out there, no question. But there's a big difference between a coach and a consultant. And we like to offer both. A coach helps you uncover your feelings, your thoughts, your own vision, where you want to go. A coach tells you what to do, which is way different than a coach. A coach will help you find, a consultant will help you navigate. So you want to have somebody who has both of those qualities, someone who can work with you one-on-one individually and who can tell you the right things to do so that you can shorten your path to success. That's what it's about.
I love that. I always tell people, though I am a certified SCORE business mentor, I am absolutely not a coach, and I don't do the work for you. I'm going to give you homework, and it's a completely different. And I love this. I'm going to switch up my membership because I didn't even realize this. And I definitely have some past traumas that I have to work through that I think are affecting my sales. So I just, if you're younger in your business, it doesn't really matter the age, but I'm so glad that in this day and age, when my daughter, who's only just 15, but when in a few years, when she starts to look, that she has access to some amazing coaches. But as always, what I love is that you vet your coaches. So I don't have to do the vetting, because on Clubhouse, there's so many coaches and so many are not credible. So many people teaching, groups like LinkedIn. I was on a LinkedIn, I'm asked to mod a few different groups, because especially when people, they realize, oh, okay, so she has a lot of knowledge, let's get her on. And then I'm modding, but the person who started the room has like 279 followers on LinkedIn and really doesn't even have the ability to understand how it really works, because once you have less than 500, you're not even like, you're just like in the front reception hall. You haven't walked in the back door to even see the excitement. So that's another reason is when you join a WPN is that things are vetted for you. And I think that's important. And I just want to bring up one other thing. I started I'm with a Women's International Network too. There's a lot of different groups, and I do servant leadership. And what an interesting conversation we had. And I will share, and this is nobody's fault. And I know my brothers seem to get upset when I talk about this, but it is me and it's my story. And growing up in the family business, I've always cared about my employees. I've always cared, does the business card match? Are they in the best position? Have we set them up for success, or are we putting them for failure? How do we make sure that the employee is where they're supposed to be? And my parents and my siblings were like, shouldn't you just worry about sales? Like, sell more pens, which, by the way, this pen is available with your logo on it. Look at how cool that is. And I got these new pens. I thought I'd throw that in there.
Oh, I
love that. Anyways, so they would say, sell the pen, stop like worrying. And I never thought about it. And then I moved up here to Daytona Beach to open up my dad's 5th art gallery. And I was hiring a young man, and I had a conversation with my art director. He was going to come in and be art director number 2. And I said to this woman, I'm so excited, but he needs a lot of work. He wasn't the best interviewee, and he knows it. But you and I together, oh my God, we could make him so great. And whether the gallery lasts or we have to, whatever happens, he'll move on. And I was like spilling all this stuff of what I saw for his future. And she said to me, are you nuts? Like, why would I do that? Like, I'm coming to work for you. I'm going to sell I'll teach him what he needs to know. I could care less when the door's closed, what happens to him. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And then I started reeling. So like, you know how like you start questioning something and then all of a sudden servant leadership pops up. And then as I'm going through some leadership classes, I'm a graduate of Daytona Regional and Port Orange and of Hollywood, Greater Hollywood Leadership Program. But anyways, I digress. But I started learning about servant leadership and I'm like, oh my God, I am a servant leader. So we had the conversation on Clubhouse to talk about it. But that is one thing that for women and I think that we carry that kind of leadership style naturally. But I do think that it needs to be taught. And I am happy. I do have a workshop program, servant leadership. So I'm happy to run one with you or give you my supply, whatever you need. I have the whole like program. But it is important because I have worked with women before I worked for Muscular Dystrophy Association, and the woman, she just had a baby. She should have understood where I was going through, but her focus was so off that it just was a bad experience for me. So I just want to make sure that people understand servant leadership style, what that looks like, why it's important, and that it actually is okay to put people over profit because the people that you're putting over profit are going to get the profit up for you. So your success in sales really will come when you have a servant leader at the helm. And I think people have to look at their leaders in business and say, are they servant leaders? Can we help them to understand the traits of servant leadership? And how for us women, we make sure that we represent. And again, I want my daughter to have the ability to work for an employer or work for someone or be herself a servant leader.
Right.
So
I'm
off the pedestal right now.
Well, I actually just did a presentation on Saturday, and that was one of my points. When you focus on people, profits follow. You focus on profits, people leave. That's what happens. So, and I'm so lucky because I have been mentored and am mentored by a man who is the epitome of servant leadership. In his corporation, he didn't even have an office because he wanted to always be among the people. So, and that's another point is I'm a coach and a consultant, and I have coaches, multiple coaches. So if you're out there as a coach and you don't have a coach, I'm not hiring you. That's all there is to it. You've got to have that. And the other thing, I love what you're saying. There's one of my clients, Lisa Perez. She runs a company that is a human resource company. And her mission is to put the human back in human resources. And that says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. It says it all. Working together, collaboration, and not being afraid of your competition. I tell the story of Tanger Outlets and how Perfume Outlet and Perfume Connection were across the way. And one day I walked into Perfume Outlet and I said, what's your relationship like with Perfume Connection? Is that weird? Because I literally could throw a stone and hit their front door. And they told me it took a year. 1 year, they didn't talk to each other. They would be like, how many people do they have? They were like spying, but not having a conversation. And finally, one female employee said, I'm going to go over there and introduce myself, say hello. She went over, introduced herself, and she found out that they carried everything opposite of what Perfume Outlet had. So I love Pitbull's cologne. Don't even ask me why, because I don't even wear it, but that's like the one thing I do like his smell, but she didn't have it. So the other one, so once they learned and communicated and worked together, they realized they could, so someone wasn't walking out and saying, oh man, I don't know where to get it. They knew each other's inventory and supply. And that to me is such a great example. So get to know your competition too. Know who's in the same class with you. And that's what WPN does for you. It allows you to see you're doing everything right. You thought about it before the times. So I see success for you. So what's the future? Just take us now, 3 years from now. Where do you see WPN?
3 years from now, we're going to be on that continent we're not on yet. And we're going to exponentially expand the membership. And what I see is I see more women in leadership positions, more women being seen as legitimate business owners, more women moving up the corporate ladder. We're seeing for the very first time in history, a woman is running Citibank. Banking has been white men forever. We're seeing women in sports. We now have a general manager in Major League Baseball. We have 2 or more at this point referees in football. We have women coaches in football. 3 years from now, it's gonna be, instead of wow, a woman general manager, it's gonna be, oh, Mary is a general manager. That's what I see 3 years from now. And I'm proud to be a part of that growth and that shattering of this ceiling that is really starting to break.
And I just want to say, I love that you're thinking of going into Asia. My son is in Shanghai. He speaks pretty much fluent Mandarin, and he has been there for over 10 years. And he's incredible. He's 32. So he can help. He's got a lot of connections and contacts in the Shanghai market. But what I found, I was hired to teach English in like Trend Micro and Ericsson, so in Nanjing, China. But the women really hold very prestigious positions. Women are very highly honored and valued in China, and they're running the factories. And I was so impressed to see, really, it's not talked about. So if you don't know the culture and if you're not over there, you wouldn't realize the value of women in Asia. It's very incredible. So if you do need help, Sammy would be willing to help, and I'd be willing to fly there because I absolutely love my experience there and would love to move back. I'm a little older, so they age you out at like 60. I hope that changes. Trisha, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
No, continue what you were going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say China's going through a cultural revolution because there are so many women now who are making their own money that they can get rid of their husbands for the first time in history. And there's more and more single women than ever before. So it's very different what's happening there. But thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having this amazing platform where you get to share great information. And I so appreciate you, Adrienne. Thank you.
Thank you so much. By the way, this was no prep. Trish and I spoke for a few minutes before, but a lot of this, I always want to tell people, I don't send out a list of questions. This is truly having a conversation like we're having a cup of coffee. I didn't Google Trish before, but I do as a member of WPN and now going to increase my membership. I would say, please, let me know if I do it or if Susan calls me to do it. But all the links are going to be below. But think about WPN. Do you offer like a meeting or two for free if someone wants to try it? What does that look like?
Yes, our networking is for free first time, always.
Okay. Take advantage of it. You're going to find the women are just exceptional. So thank you, Trish. I'll hear you on Clubhouse, and I really thank you. And I will get more active because I love what you're doing, and I just want all the success for you and your group and all the women. So have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your corned beef, and thank you for spending so much time with me.
Thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I'm going to have a green beer, that's for sure.
Yes.
Perfect for my kids.